Yeah, he got wrapped up in wanting to.
What's up, guys?
Not gonna move.
We are here live at the Sang Lucci loft for Sang Lucci Mailbag. It is Thursday, April 10th. As you can see, Lucci is out playing tennis, living the life, the New York dream before he moves to Boston. I can respect that. There's good weather out here today. So we got Roy Davis here to my left, Brian Weiner on my right. Plenty of expertise here to answer all of your questions. So, actually kind of a funny question here, but in a way kind of not. First one from our boy at MNYCX on Twitter. He said, why did the market fall today, and should I invest my money with Kiko Cakes Nakamura Financial? If you guys don't know what he's talking about, the SEC just released essentially their case against this girl who was on, sort of a Twitter guru. She was an options trader, had a subscriber base, and also had investors in a fund. So similar setup to what we have in an eerie way. And they're bringing a pretty heavy case against her, man. They're basically saying it was a Ponzi scheme. She didn't know what she was doing. She lost everyone's money. Just last night on Twitter, she was getting attacked pretty hard, and she was defending herself, saying, she's totally legit. Lucci wrote a very good article about it, guys. If you go to sanglucci.com, it's on the front page. Whether or not this girl was doing anything illegal or not, I can't say. I don't know her from Adam, but it does go to show, especially when you see the reaction of how many people were quick to say, hey, of course this stuff happens all the time. You guys really need to do, your research before you decide to take education from anybody or follow anybody's trades or anything like that. That goes for us too, right? I mean, don't take any of our classes. We're one of those. We put our P&L up every day, right? Don't take our classes. Don't listen to us until you you feel like you can actually trust us and we're real. So
yeah, it's important to do your due diligence on this stuff. I mean, like, just think about some of the characters that trading brings in, the type of, sometimes like really weak people who can't do other jobs, they'll come into this industry trying to make that quick buck. They don't know how to put in actually hard work. And so they're out there on Twitter and they're trying to get your little money, and I've seen a number of them. And so you really have to do your due diligence. Yep. If somebody's talking about how they're making this kind of money or making that kind of money, even if they're implying it, ask. And if they can't give you any kind of, you don't need to look at their books, And I remember, when I was, when I was with the prop shop for a while, it's the question is no, I'm not going to give you our books, right? But talk to me about some of your traders. Talk to me about some of their performances. Give me some decent numbers. Can you at least tell me something on somebody? Right. And if they're not going to tell you anything on anybody, then run the other direction.
Right. There's plenty of other people out there you can learn from, right? So anyways, we'll hop into some of these questions, all right? So I think a lot of these are going to be, this is from Muhammad, and I think he's going to have some questions about psychology. He was hitting us up last week. So, hey guys, I was wondering if you could talk about some of the questions I have for the next mailbag. How do you filter out all the noise you see on Twitter and message boards with all the people posting ridiculous gains like yours? How do you develop, discipline? Is it helpful to have people discuss ideas with, but at the same time becomes distracting when other people make doubt of your plan? These guys can speak a lot to this. I can tell you that the guys in the chat room have often said it's something that you have to manage. When you have other traders who are alongside you, it's important it can be very helpful to look and get trading ideas from them, learn new strategies and whatnot, but you have to understand yourself as a trader and when it's time for you just to turn off any other source of outside information and just focus on what you're doing. Roy, what do you think about just the concept of noise and blocking it out?
I worked with traders for a long time, and part of the process was being very, very sensitive about how you start your day, and being able to create baseline feedback for yourself on your psychology as if it was part of your strategy. And to understand what kind of things that occurred maybe before you start trading for the day or after you start trading that can impact you psychologically, that may put you into tilt, may get you upset, may make you double down. And I've had enough experience with traders to know that in many cases you can tie something that occurred that morning that destabilized them and didn't put them in the right mindset. So that's why I don't have a Twitter account. Now, I guess
that's going to change. That's going to change real soon. Yeah. He doesn't have a choice. I had to get on Twitter. That means he's getting on Twitter.
So I'm gonna get it. I don't even know how I'm gonna manage that, but I'm gonna get a Twitter account. I just can't. This question is really for like a nod because I think there's so much exploration there. I mean, when I joined up with these guys, the very first thing I said is, why are you arguing with people on Twitter?
Right. I mean, Anand and I have, and Brian can speak to this too. Lucci and I have, we've answered this question a lot. You know, I mean, I know how he feels about this. We talk about it too offline. Twitter is a double-edged sword. You can get a lot of great information on Twitter. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are great to follow that you can learn from. You can detect sentiment based on what's happening on Twitter at times for certain stocks. But there's also a lot of just trolls and just people who just throw, you know, random stupid stuff at you. And honestly, Twitter is no different than any other type of noise that's going to be coming at your head. You know, for some people who aren't on Twitter, aren't on any social media, they got their friends or family saying, "What the hell are you doing trading? You know, why'd you take that trade?" Or there's always someone who is going to, you know, put doubt into your head, right? Brian, how do you feel about this?
I'm kind of new to the concept of listening to people and trading on their recommendations.
Yeah, move forward a little bit. I want to make sure they get audio. Yeah.
I don't understand how someone would take the advice of another on the internet not knowing who they are.
Right.
Like, the internet is full of internet bullies and trolls.
Right.
And to me, I mean, as a floor trader by origination and trading alongside people that I know, colleagues, those are the only people that I would listen to. I would listen to people on Twitter that actually I see consistently, and what I'm seeing them doing is actually coming to fruition.
Right.
That makes sense to me. So it's a learning process, but you don't just jump right into the deep end with some Joe Schmo that says he made $1 million on penny stocks. So why would you do it on Twitter?
Right.
You know. So
yeah, guys. I mean, and make sure if you're following someone, make sure if they're posting their trades, make sure they're posting some losses too. Right. Unless they're Virtu, you know, no one is not having a single losing day. I don't care how good of a trader they are.
I even have a losing day.
Even fucking Brian Weiner has a losing day. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
Rarely.
Mohammed, you got a lot of questions, so I'm gonna just kind of try and get the best ones here. I want to trade for a hedge fund someday. 2 years left until graduation. What kind of insight do we have for someone who wants to go trade for a hedge fund? How do you build your stomach tolerance? It's kind of a double question there.
Listen, you need to have an angle. What are you going to trade? Are you going to be a stock trader? Are you going to be a volatility trader? You got to have some concept that you're going to follow a system. And if you don't have that, you need to start figuring that out, and that should really be through paper trading and seeing what sticks with you and what makes sense.
Right.
And don't jump from here to there until you thoroughly know what here is all about and there is all about, and you're comfortable with something. You know, try to if you have a concept, if you think it should work, give it a second, but paper trade it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's experience. That's how you build up stomach tolerance, right? I mean, it's just it's experiments. You have to feel those losses.
Yeah, there are like two questions here, right? Like, how do you get a job at a hedge fund?
Yeah, and that's a tougher thing to.
Right, because like hedge funds are so different.
A hedge fund is not going to hire you unless you have a money-making system that is legal and makes sense.
And that's if you're. I mean, that's a lot of hedge funds. You're sort of walking in out the door. Like, I mean, if you're talking about trying to trade for a big ass fund, a lot of those things. The guys who are actually trading, I mean, they're 20-year veterans. When you're talking about trading for a fund, you're just executing trades. I mean, it can be a long haul if you want to trade for a big fund, you know.
And sometimes, depending on the quantitative work, I mean, we've been recruiting some extra team members to do analysis for strategies that we already have that exist. So there's just so many different types of positions, so many different types of hedge funds. It's hard to answer that.
Yeah, you kind of want to get in, unless you have this big strategy, you're this big genius in college and you have your portfolio set or your strategy set, you're gonna probably find a way to get in as an assistant.
Yeah.
And do all the paperwork. You know, it's kind of like being not even a sous chef, but being a dishwasher in a kitchen. You know, if you want to become the head chef, you got to start somewhere. You know,
you got to be willing to start at the bottom, man.
Osmosis will allow you to learn the strategy that you want to develop. Somehow you'll acquire some knowledge, and you'll go from there.
Okay, we got a good question here. I don't even know if we've ever had this question before. Why aren't you guys worried about losing your trading edge through your educational products and services? I think we all each probably have something to say about this, but the first thing I would say is, guys, I had this exact concern when I first started working with Lucci and, you know, our fund structure, but then also on the educational side. And what I realized in the practice of what he does is that he has, in sort of a genius way, integrated the education into how he keeps himself on top of his trading game, right? When you have to wake up every morning and write out your thoughts for people who are, you know, paying to have access to those thoughts, it forces you to be on your game. It forces you to articulate where you're at mentally. Even if Lucci's, you know, insanely hungover, which he is a lot of Fridays, you know, he has to sit down and write out where is he at. And then he will tell you, especially for the 12-day course, for the boot camp, he's there every single, you know, 3 nights a week, articulating, going over not only the fundamentals, but the most advanced things that he's just learning, you know, that he's just now breaking into. And so it gives him an excuse to constantly review where is he at, you know, what else has he learned recently, and then articulate that out. And when you're teaching someone else something, you have it gives you a really good way to learn it yourself. It gives you different angles of insight. So, Lucci, honestly, we've just sort of integrated it into our whole operation and into how, you know, we maintain ourselves as traders.
So this is a really interesting question because I didn't think about it, but I'm going to try to figure out a way to answer this the best way. I've taken a look at Anand's education, and I've listened to him actually teaching the courses. I'm going to touch on a couple of things. First of all, you know, one of the base foundational skill sets that he's using to in his strategy is tape reading. Tape reading's hard, and you can teach somebody that skill set over the course of a couple of years. I mean, you could teach somebody that skill set over the course of a couple of weeks, but it just simply takes months and sometimes years to be able to see the kind of things that a good tape reader can see. Anand has really latched on to really, really good tape reading methods, and I'm just so impressed with the way that he can see certain things. You know, I can tape read. I launched a tape reading program years ago. So I think I'm in a position where I can judge those things. Now, what does it have to do with this? I can teach people how to tape read. They can identify the organic things that are occurring at the time. Well, there's a seller. This is what he's doing, and this is how he's stepping down. Now, how you use that information in context to build, let's say, conditions for and against the direction of your trade, that changes between people. You know, we're not teaching. You know, the program, this current boot camp program, isn't teaching people some systematic. When you see, you know, the hammer and the candle,
cookie
you know,
cutter,
yeah, just go along with the moving averages, cross right here. You know, it's not that silliness. It's actually teaching real trading skill sets, and then building that systematically on a process where you could make money off of it. But it takes hard work, and contextually, when you're using these skill sets, it's a lot of the stuff that you're seeing is just gonna change. You're just gonna see different information than Anand's gonna see, than Charlie's gonna see, than I'm gonna see, and you'll be able to come to different perspectives on that. So that's why the particular boot camp program that's being taught right now by Anand, it's not going to undermine his edge, because what Anand does is, first of all, it's difficult, and second of all, there's so much discretion to it that the actual information that one would take in changes per person.
Right. You had some time?
You know, I'm new to tape reading, so I can't really offer that much, but we definitely Lucci and I definitely look at the tape differently. I'm trying to learn from him, and you know, I don't know really. We're kind of off topic now with this question, but the way you react to tape is definitely be different per person, and how you trade and how your psychology differs is going to affect if you can get into a trade, if you can get out of a trade. You see a guy going against you on the tape, should you just get out? I'm a type of guy that would get out if I see the tape doing something, So it's really just changing your psychology if you have to, or reacting differently. And it's just a learning process.
And this is like compared to Brian. You have a system that you do that you can make good money, right, on options, and you could probably teach somebody this very systematically,
right?
And they could probably do it, right?
Right.
And this is a money maker.
If they were wicked smart.
And he's not going to teach you.
Well, he will soon, but you're gonna have to pay for that.
Not that other thing.
All right.
But that's kind of the difference. I mean, people can have systems that you could teach somebody that's,
and when you're dealing
tab A to tab A.
When you're dealing with stock, it's different and there's a lot of volume, and it's different than dealing with options. Like my thing, I can't teach people that because it would affect me, but it's not going to affect someone that trades stock. There's so much stock out there. If you don't get one price, you can get the next penny down. So it doesn't really matter.
Word. All right, guys. Let's. This leads us right into the next thing. At options log, what would be the set of values and the important set of values for a trader to preserve his or her sanity on any given week, considering that life is much broader than trading? I think each of us should give a brief response to this because we could probably rap forever on it. You guys want me to start?
I'll go.
Okay.
Because if I don't make the money that I want every week, I have like a quota.
Right.
I get a little down.
Right.
And I got this lovely girlfriend, a nice
She is
Japanese
lovely.
Jewish girl.
Lovely.
And
Leia.
she's so sweet, and she keeps, if she's emotional, she tries to keep it inside and not affect me. So what's that? She's not watching this. So I guess my point is you learn from the people around you how they act, and most people are not traders in your circle.
True.
So they're not crazy. So do you want to keep these people still in your circle, or do you want to jump off a bridge? Most likely, you don't want to jump off a bridge and kill yourself. It's only money. It's only 1 week.
Right.
So regroup, realize you have another week, and be a normal human being. That comes with the territory. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Right.
So,
that's what I was going to say.
That's it.
Is perspective. Build a sense of perspective and a sense of balance. Right. It can be a very hard thing to do when you're trading your own money on a day-to-day basis, but everyone deals with this in every facet of a job. You come in and your boss screams at you, right? Like you might feel like death for a little bit, but then when you add a little bit of perspective in there and you realize I have all these tremendous things going on in my life, blah blah blah, it really helps give you distance. And you have to set yourself up for having perspective as well. If you have $50,000 to your name, not your trading account, to your name, and you are putting on $50,000 positions, you're not facilitating a sense of perspective, right? That's why we always tell traders, like, don't come in here, don't tell us if you're going to be one of our students that you got some money saved up, but then you're gonna trade that money, and you have an uncle who might be able to back you up. Like, have money saved up if you're going to do this. If you don't have that much money, that's fine. Take small position sizes, but facilitate your ability to maintain perspective with the size that you put on.
What can I say about this? Knowing yourself is and being sensitive to all the things that change your personality dynamically and your mood and all those things is really important. And so that's kind of the base where you need the foundation you start at, right? And then you just kind of look at your schedule, look at the people you're around. Look at your home life. Look at the things you do, as hobbies, and to get out that energy. And how's that working for you? Are you finding that certain things are distracting and pulling you away from your trading? The way that I originally trained traders was to just really just jump in. I mean, a couple hours before the open, you're doing visualizations, you're doing all this work, and then once you start your day, it's like a schedule. It's like a schedule, right? And you're pretty much in that world the entire time, and you don't let things break your psychology and get in the way of everything that's going to make you a profitable trader, because it's not just your skill set, it's not just your strategy. If you're employing any kind of discretion and making decisions on your own, and you're pushing the buy and sell button, then your psychology is at play there. And so many people do not pay attention to that stuff. It's like, so Charlie and I were talking, it's like the missing 51%.
Yeah.
Because I've taught trader strategies and then watched them do things to completely ruin it and muck it up in environments where they should have been killing it.
Yeah.
And then you find out what happened, and something inevitably happened, and then you start working on tasks to get that stuff out of their life, and then you watch their equity curve go from here to here and to here.
Right.
It takes a lot of work on your mentor's part, but it also takes a lot of work on your the trader's part too. So think about that when you're talking about like what kind of principle. Everything's different for everybody, but the most important thing that you can do is take a journal and just start writing everything you do down, outside of trading and inside trading, and try to get some feedback, compare days to each other, and see what changes.
And guys, perfect opportunity for me to promote the event we're doing in LA. Saturday, April 26th, we are going to have 2 panels of discussion with the whole Sang Lucci crew. One of them is going to be on this exact topic. Roy will be speaking. Anand is going to be speaking to, the title of his speech is the 5 questions you need to know, you need to ask yourself in order to understand who you are as a trader, right? So we've got a really cool panel that's going to be on, sort of trading psychology. Roy's going to be talking about trading journals, trading systems, how to improve your, sort of behavioral psychology approach to things. And then the other panel is going to be all about flash voice, dark pools, HFT, what everybody really wants to hear about right now when it comes to market structure and that whole debate. Brian, Peter, Chaim Bodek, who's sort of the man of the hour right now in this debate. So if you guys are interested in that, just shoot us an email, contact@sanglucci.com. It's going to be a very sick event. There will also be a sweet party afterwards. We're renting out an insane Hollywood mansion. It's completely obnoxious, and whoever comes to the event will get invited to that as well. Roy, you said one thing there that I actually think is really interesting, and it's a pretty subtle observation. What you do with your energy, you said, where are you placing your energy? And I think sometimes traders are adrenaline junkies, right? Or they're just people who have had emotions surging, around their whole life, and they feel like the markets are a way to funnel that energy, right? It's a place that can actually take all that. But if you're sitting down on a daily basis thinking you're just going to kind of unload that energy onto the markets, right, and get into trades that are going to kind of engage with you on that level, then you're kind of forcing yourself to trade in order to feel a certain way, right? So, I mean, do you feel like that there are actual, part of the system is developing things that help you handle that energy, and so that you can sit down and say, I don't have to trade. Maybe for some people it's working out, for some people there's all kinds of different things, psychological, physical.
Yeah, it's like a combination of 2 things. I mean, knowing yourself, knowing your psychology, and knowing how to redirect that energy. But the other part is just having a good trading foundation and understanding that the market's not always going to give you money right now. It's not always going to give you money today.
Right.
If you miss the opportunity this morning, then this afternoon doesn't have to present you the same opportunities. Actually, that might be the only opportunity you see for an entire week.
For an entire month.
Yeah, so, the idea of being right, the idea of just thinking you can get in and just churn money out of the market, or that all your trades are always going to work depending, even though volatility is entirely different, the range of the market's different. We're in a consolidation state, but, I'm going to do these breakouts. I'm going to do these breakdowns. Get out of here. And so you have to have a really good foundation for understanding the markets, and then you have to combine that with good psychology and understanding when you need to just step away, or sit on your hands, or whatever else they say.
Word. All right, guys. I think we're going to make this one the last one. So Andrew at Nokuma asked us a question last week, and apologies, Andrew, if you felt like we kind of brushed off your question. Guys, sometimes it's the end of an extremely long day here, and there's all sorts of questions coming in and on Twitter, and maybe we don't give as in-depth of a response as we could. But I think Brian is the absolute perfect person to answer this one. So here we go. I just want to follow up on the response. You gave my two-part question. Obviously, names like Priceline and Google are going to be more volatile in terms of the dollar amounts or points that they swing in a given move because they are higher-priced stocks. However, there are frequently delays where lower-priced names such as Facebook will make moves that are nearly the same or even larger in terms of the actual percentage, yet this disparity in premium exists. For example, on Wednesday, 3/26, Facebook was down about 6.78% from the open to the close, while Priceline was down about 3.6%, yet the premiums were exorbitantly more expensive for Priceline for corresponding strike prices out of the money, with even less of a move. As further example, he goes on to provide a further example. I guess the focus of what I'm trying to figure out is why large dollar amount or large basis point moves correlate to more expensive premiums instead of premiums being correlated to the actual percentage changes in the underlying.
Okay, so I'm going to make it as simple as possible. The key input for the price of an option is the actual stock price. Okay.
The underlying.
So Google and Priceline obviously have such a greater stock price. The option is going to be that much greater percentage-wise. The width is going to be much wider because they're nickel names. When the volatility changes, the sensitivity of the option is much greater for these larger price names. If you look at a Black-Scholes formula, it's the key variable is price of the stock, and that's always going to be the case. The sensitivity is, I looked at something between comparing Facebook and Priceline, same percentage out of the money for next week. A 10% out of the money call for Facebook and 10% out of the money call for Priceline. The sensitivity to a change in volatility is 10 times greater for Priceline. Okay, so it's a very complex formula, but it's basically just the stock price that's affecting it, and that's just part of the math.
It's part of the math and how it works.
And how it works, yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Brian, what if you could teach a class on that? Oh wait, we're gonna do that.
We will.
Yeah, guys, Brian has an insanely deep knowledge of options, and he comes at things from, there's overlap with his approach with Lucci, but there's also separation, and it's a perfect opportunity for you guys to learn another angle on options. So we are in the process of putting together a very cool curriculum with Brian. We've been working on it for months. It's coming out soon. So if you don't have questions that are answered in the mailbag, your questions will be answered in that class. I can guarantee it. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys have an awesome Friday tomorrow. We will be in the markets as usual. We will talk to you soon.